Just be glad for all you have that's in today.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to Carole and Tuesday, episode 1. So, this is the final reaction for the spring 2019 anime season previews. If you haven't watched any of the other 3, which would be Fruits Basket, Magmel of the Sea Blue, or One Punch Man Season 2, what this is I am reacting to the first episode of each of the shows that I am interested in during this season, each of the anime that are just starting to air this season of anime. I am reacting to the first episode and deciding from there to whether or not continue reacting to them for the future or to just leave them be. So far, we've had Fruits Basket and One Punch Man Season 2, which I will be continuing, and Magmel of the Sea Blue, which I will not be, at least not for reactions. And I have yet to decide whether or not I'm going to wait to try and get them somewhere on the official schedule, weekly schedule, or if I'm just going to get to them whenever I can when new episodes come out. We'll have to see. I think a lot of it's going to also depend on if I decide to continue this one or not. So, yeah, Carole and Tuesday. This is a series by the director, I believe, of Cowboy Bebop. And as I've said in many other videos by now, I'm probably going to mispronounce his name, but I think it's Shinichiro Watanabe. And Carole and Tuesday, I don't know what the actual story is about. I have seen the PV that was released, the trailer. And it shows these 2 girls. One seems like a very high society, rich girl, has this really fancy dress on. She has the blonde curls and everything. And the other is kind of this like rough and tumble looking girl who kind of looks like she'd be working at an auto shop or something. But they seem to be together, and they seem to have come together through their shared love of music, is what I can maybe guess, because they're both playing music together in the PV. We also see a few clips of some other people who will probably just be ongoing or main characters in the story, as well as this setting. Now, I can't tell much of anything from it. I can't tell like when this supposedly takes place. I can't tell where it takes place. I don't know any of that. But I am excited to find out. The art and animation from the PV alone was phenomenal. The soundtrack sounds great, and the character designs are just breathtaking. So it's like, I don't know much of what this is going to be about. And I've said in other videos, I tend to put character and story first. And I don't know anything about these characters. I don't know anything about the story. So I admit, my hype for this series has been based on the things that I do put second when I judge an anime. So it's an interesting factor in that. And it's not the first time this has happened. There have been other anime that I've been hyped over for reasons like that and ended up not actually liking due to having poor story, poor characters, that kind of thing. Or just not being entertaining. But I'm hoping that this one is really good. If it's by the director of Cowboy Bebop, I have some hope in that as well, because Cowboy Bebop was good. It wasn't like as amazing as a lot of people try to say it was, but it was good. I did enjoy it. I watched the entire thing. So yeah, I mean, I have huge hopes for this. No real expectations, but huge hopes. So yeah, I have no idea what this is going to be about, so we should just get into it and discover that ourselves. And hopefully it lives up to the hype that the trailer gave to us, but we'll see. So, when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts, and will contain spoilers to the episode. So that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we will begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So I'm sure you could tell, but during the episode there, during the reaction, especially at the end when they were playing together and everything and figuring out the song, I'm sure you could tell I was tearing up. Um, this is my favorite premiere of this season so far. Well, I mean, out of these spring 2019 anime previews, it's just my favorite. More so even than One Punch Man's, which was exceptionally great. Especially considering it's being done by a different company than season one. Um, but yeah, Carole and Tuesday's first episode was phenomenal. It was everything I was hoping it would be. And it even surprised me in a couple places. Like I said during the reaction, and I want to touch on this real quick. I made a very narrow-minded assumption. Um, and this is something I've done in the past as well, and it's something I feel a lot of people have, but I'm not trying to make an excuse here. I made a very, very narrow-minded assumption. I assumed that Tuesday was the black, kind of rough and tumble, less proper girl. I assumed that based on the name, and I assumed Carole was the more proper, white, and I guess fancy looking girl. I made those assumptions based on names because of just honestly everything I've seen in media. In media, a lot of times that's kind of how it goes. And I'm not making excuse. I'm not trying to make excuses. I'm not trying to say I was. I'm not trying to again excuse what I did here. I was wrong. I was very wrong in assuming that. And I will never try to say otherwise. But yeah, in a lot of media and stuff, like that's usually how it go. The fancy, pretty white girls will have names like Carole or Stephanie or Lily or names like that. And the girls who are more like, well, like Carole in this series, will be given names more like Tuesday or Angela or stuff like that. Just names that are more suited for are more typically viewed as suited for those kind of characters or those kind of people in a lot of ways. And it's completely wrong that media does that kind of shit. It's honestly in a lot of ways racist. And again, I admit I was wrong here. I was very much in the wrong, and I did something very terrible by making that assumption. And I apologize for it. And there's nothing I can do but try to better myself and try to get past that kind of stage that I've been at for a long time. And I don't always do that. Like, there's a lot of times where I will, like, even go out of the way to say, like, oh, I'm not going to assume anything. Heck, in this episode, there seemed to be a character who might be trans. Um, the one girl's mother, I think that girl was actually named Angela. I might be wrong, um, but yeah, the one girl, the actress model girl, her mother, or at least who she called her mama, has a male voice actor. It's very clear that that is a guy voice acting. And the character herself looks very, well, very typically what you would view as a trans woman in terms of, just like facial structure and stuff. Um, and it's just like, again, I don't want to just assume. And that's the thing. That's why I was just trying to kind of see what the series said before I said anything regarding her. And again, the series, her, I guess, daughter referred to her as Mama. So she's clearly, at least she is seen as female and everything. And then, if I can find this again. Trying to find the scene for her actual name and stuff. Because her name was mentioned. It was before Mr. Tao talked to Angela. Yeah, Angela Carpenter. That was her name. But who's the other woman? Let me see if I can find it real quick. I want to get her name down because I'm trying to make a point here. Hold on a second. Ignore the dog. I'm sorry for this break, pause here, but I'm trying to find it out. Okay. I know her name was mentioned. Dahlia, that's it. Dahlia. And now she also refers to herself as Angela's agent, but Angela referred to her as Mama, so and they kind of seem to have the same skin tone, or at least very similar. But then again, that does not matter. I don't know. I guess I was just assuming because she called her Mama, that could not mean much. But either way, I didn't want to assume much on Dahlia when it first showed her, so I waited for it to say something. And again, Angela called her Mama, so female at least, and her name is Dahlia. And again, I'm not just going to automatically perceive her as trans, but she might be. The point I'm trying to make with all of this is that I made a stupid assumption already with this series, and I want to try to get better. I want to try to get past that, not try to assume these things about people, and just kind of move forward from that. So Tuesday is the blonde girl, and Carole is the black-haired girl. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, again, I made assumptions. But either way, so yeah, this first episode introduces us mostly to our characters, of course. And it focuses on three specifically. Our titular characters, Carole and Tuesday, as well as this third character, Angela. I'll talk about Angela first because I was kind of already on that topic. Angela is a model, a singer, and an actress. She's recently in a durian commercial, or durian soda, maybe, I guess. And she's wearing this stupid costume, doing this stupid, like, little dance and shit. And she's not really enjoying it. She's not really having a good time, so she fired, I guess, the manager she was working with that got her that job, and just kind of moved on. Apparently, though, this woman who she calls Mama, who might be her mother, and you can be a mother and a manager, I guess, is her head manager, I guess. I don't know how all of that works, to be honest. And it's trying to get her a job with this Mr. Tao guy, who I guess runs some kind of company, who has outsourced most things to AI at this point, but is agreeing to work with Angela, basically saying, though, that she's going to kind of be a puppet for him. But she agrees to it, so I wonder how that storyline's going to go. But, like, a lot of the story tends to focus on Tuesday and how she's kind of going into things here. So Tuesday is born into this rich family. She's very well off. And as her mother, at least who I assume is her mother, later on, says she's been given everything she wants. And yet, apparently, not really, because she apparently is not happy with that life. So she packs up her guitar and a suitcase and heads out. She runs away from home, boards a train, kind of sneaking onto the wrong car in a way, and hitches a ride to Alba City, which, by the way, is on Mars. Yeah, apparently, like Cowboy Bebop, Mars is a habited place in this universe, which is fitting considering, again, the Cowboy Bebop director, Shinichiro Watanabe, also, again, might be mispronouncing that, might be just completely wrong on the name, but the director of Cowboy Bebop is also working on this, so it's actually fitting, considering Mars is a habited place in Cowboy Bebop, and Spike is even from Mars. But yeah, so she goes to Alba City, and she's basically trying to make it as a musician. It's her dream. It's her goal. She looks up to, like, legendary singers like Cyndi Lauper. It's like, I did not expect to hear that name in this. But it's like, yeah, I can understand how you could look up to Cyndi Lauper as a singer. So she goes out of her way. She's trying to make it big in the big city as a musician. And again, I kind of compared this to both New York and LA, and it's valid. A lot of times before LA became as big of a hub for this kind of thing, for making it in all of these different entertainment industries, New York was seen as a very big place for that. It was seen as a very big place for going to run away to be a model, a musician, all of that stuff. And, I mean, in some ways it still is. But LA is definitely a bigger one in the more recent years. But even still, it's just kind of that basic concept. Running away to the big city where she has a chance of becoming a star, of following her passions. And that's great. She's excuse me. She's 17 years old, on the cusp of adulthood. She's ready to make it, ready to, again, follow her passions. And she should. I truly believe she should. However, she's really out of place here. And we see that right away. She gets her luggage stolen. She doesn't know where to go or what to do. She just kind of acted without really thinking about it. And that's when she happens to run into Carole. Now, Carole is more of a kind of take-it-as-you-go character. She lives in this little apartment above a shop, and she doesn't like Tuesday. She doesn't seem to think things through as much, but she's also not like a bad person or anything. She had a job at some kind of diner slash fast food place, but got fired because she got angry at her horrible customers for being shitty to her. So she messed with their food a little. But yeah, she kind of just takes things as she goes and just makes a living. We see she stops at a bridge and starts to play her keyboard, just sing along. Not really singing any lyrics, as is pointed out, but just kind of like, just letting her voice out. And it's a beautiful, harmonious song. It's the trailer song for the trailer of the series. And then and Tuesday overhears it. And it's like that moment when Carole like opens her eyes and Tuesday's just standing right there in front of her crying, and it's like that is hilarious. And so they start to talking about it, and Tuesday instantly understands like the message behind the music, like what Carole is saying with her song there. And so they run away and head back to Carole's place, and well, they put lyrics to the song. Lyrics that Tuesday had already been working on. So they put lyrics to the song and kind of become quick friends. And that's another point I want to talk about. Their friendship. I could see this series going in two different directions with that. Either they are just best friends or they become romantically interested in each other. And honestly, I don't know which one it's going to take at this point. It's too early. It's not really easy to say either with it being with the studio or the people behind it or anything. I can't tell from any of that. It's just really hard to say. It could go either way, just based off of this episode and based on their interactions and stuff. I would be completely okay with them getting together because I'm kind of already starting to ship them. Like, seriously, they are fucking adorable together. But at the same time, I mean, even with one episode, but at the same time, I could also just see them being best friends. It's hard. It's just hard to say at this point. It's just like you can't really tell this early. On how the series is going to go with that, on if it's going to have that representation. If it does, that will be amazing and will just be one more big thing to really chalk up for how great this series could be. And yeah, this series has a very high possibility of being great after this first episode. The first episode was fantastic, had excellent pacing, excellent writing, characterizations. I liked what was going on. I liked how it switched between the characters as well, between Tuesday, Carole, and Angela. It never felt unnatural, never felt like it was trying to focus too heavily on any of them over the others. All of them were definitely focused enough on to make them feel important. The art and animation is great, the voice acting, the musical score obviously is phenomenal. I'm a big fan of music, just in general. I love music. I love listening to music while I work. I love listening to music while I just lay down and relax. I just love music. Like, even while I'm editing videos, I'll put on music and just jam out. And all kinds of music, too. Like, I love Queen. I love the Beatles. I love My Chemical Romance. I love Pink. I love Bruno Mars to a degree. Some of the songs, at least. I even like Eminem. I have a very diverse taste in music, and it's like the kind of music we're getting so far with this is pretty fantastic. We didn't get an opening, so I don't know about an opening song for this and how good that's going to be. But I'm really excited to find that out next week when we get to the next episode. But yeah, the music just in the soundtrack generally, as well as the music they're actually performing, is all fantastic. It just has this beautiful, like, sense of freedom to it. Like, listening to it makes you feel, like, free and just, and, like, you're just really feeling that joyful sense of yourself, of being yourself. But at the same time, there was a melancholic tone to it as well, which is what Tuesday heard. Tuesday heard that melancholy and put together that, yeah, Carole clearly feels alone. That she's lonely and that she feels like there's that even when she's not by herself, she still feels like she's just on her own, doing her own thing. And I think that no matter where this goes with Carole and Tuesday's relationship, whether they are just friends or whether they end up becoming romantically linked, I think that them being together either way is going to be amazing for both of them. For Carole, in terms of her clear loneliness, and for Tuesday, in terms of her being able to branch out and reach out to society. It'll help her just connect more with other people, something she clearly isn't super comfortable or used to doing. I mean, we saw her as she entered the city and all. She was very nervous, very timid. She didn't really know what to do or how to talk to anyone about it, what to do, what to go for. So I think that's going to help with her as well. And yeah, I just think this show has a very, very high probability of just being the dark horse of this season. Because honestly, not many people are talking about it. So many other anime are being discussed in terms of this season, especially, of course, the ones like Fruits Basket and One Punch Man, which, I mean, very fair enough. Fruits Basket, it's 18 years in the making, this big reboot that's going to follow the manga. Oh, yeah, that's huge. One Punch Man Season 2, 5 years waiting. Like, yeah, people are super hyped for that. Even with the new studio taking over and all, people are still excited for it. It's still very big. It's still like one of the biggest talked about anime for the season. And then there's various other shows that are coming out or have already come out that are big, that are really well talked about already. But Carole and Tuesdays kind of slipped under most people's radars. Not many people were talking about it, even with it having the director from Cowboy Bebop working on it, which I would think a lot of people would be more hyped for. But even though not a lot of people are talking about it, I think this could be the season's dark horse. The one that didn't get as much attention, but ends up being one of the best this season has to offer. And like I said, it's my favorite first episode of these 4 that I've watched. And that's considering that you have Fruits Basket, a remake of a series that I did enjoy growing up and has huge nostalgic just connection for me. And One Punch Man, an amazing, phenomenal parody series that had a really fantastic first episode for its second season, even despite the change in studios. And yeah, it's just like this outshines them to such a degree. And I'm so excited about that because, as I said in my pre-thoughts, I was so hyped for this series just based off of the PV, the trailer alone. I was super hyped, super excited. And it lived up to those expectations and even surpassed them. And I can't wait to see what it does going forward. I hope it keeps up that momentum and doesn't let down. And I know there's going to be some struggles for sure in this series. We already can see the building blocks of that with Angela's character as well as with Tuesday's family definitely searching for her now. So it's like there's definitely building blocks towards that possible struggle. And I mean, even Carole mentioned she was like in a refugee camp. Like, geez, girl. Like, that's something that's probably going to be touched on again. I don't think that's just a one-note thing. That's probably going to be touched on and probably is going to go a lot into her character. So, yeah, that's exciting. But yeah, so this premiere, this first episode, easily the best of this season so far. And yeah, I mean, if it wasn't obvious, we are continuing the reactions to this. We will be continuing this. And as I said, I'm not 100% sure if we're going to just do them as the episode comes and I just get to them as soon as I can, or if I'm going to actually put them on the schedule. And if I do put them on the schedule, where? And how? I've been trying to cut back a little bit lately because I've had too much on the schedule. I'm just not sure how I'm going to do it. I'm probably going to end up just having to do them whenever they come out. Just get to them as soon as I can. We'll see. We'll see. I still have to figure that out. But either way, tell me in the comments below what you thought of Carole and Tuesday. What did you think of these characters? What did you think of the art and animation and the voice acting and the music? And do you see as much possibility for this series as I do? Tell me your thoughts on all of that and more in the comments below, and thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.
And though you've come through many obstacles,